Hello everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Today I'm here with my old friend Nicky, and we're going to be having a chat about her time abroad in New Zealand. So, like I said, you studied abroad in New Zealand.
Yes, I did.
When did you go? When was that?
I went 2 years ago on winter break.
Okay, so how long was that program?
It was about 2.5 weeks.
Okay, nice. And how was it? Like, what would you do in your program?
Oh, it was fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
So what I did in that program was essentially trying to compare and contrast institutions and ways of advocacy and community engagement, United States and New Zealand, and comparing those approaches, and hopefully with the intent of bringing back some New Zealand know-how to the United States and better our understanding.
Okay, cool. And what made you want to go to New Zealand? Was it the country specifically? Was it the program that you were mentioning? What was the drawing factor?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really think much of New Zealand beforehand.
Understandable.
I knew that they had, it was where they shot Hobbit.
Oh yeah, like the Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings.
See,
That
I've
was
never watched them too much, so
Yeah.
I just know it was shot there though. Okay.
That's all I knew. But it was really the program that drove me there because they had in the description, it seemed really fantastic. They talked about the decriminalization of sex work, they talked about community engagement approaches, and incorporating indigenous experiences as well.
So it seems like you did learn a lot while you were there. Was that your favorite thing while you were abroad in New Zealand, or what was your one thing, if you had to narrow it down, that was your favorite thing about studying abroad? I know that's a tough question for anybody studying abroad. That's a tough question to ask.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing was learning because I'm a fucking nerd. Could we curse? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough to be like flagged for cursing
by
and stuff.
YouTube.
Like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, but it was the learning aspect of it
Okay.
because you can learn something through textbooks, you know,
Exactly.
in a class of social sciences in the States, but really seeing it in action, going to these indigenous-led universities and speaking with their professors, it's a kind of experience you only get through, you know, that kind of in-person interaction and hands-on learning. And so that was definitely one of my favorite things. Also, just enjoying other cultures. That's something
definitely.
you have to experience in the moment, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and how was that, like New Zealand culture in general? Like we said before, they have some similarities with the U.S., same language, similar colonization history. I can never say that word.
Yeah.
History. Was it pretty comfortable going into that culture, or was there like bits and pieces that kind of made you feel out of place sometimes, or were different?
Yeah. I think as an American, it's kind of almost looking at a funhouse mirror because it's the same kind of concept, right? And it is because of colonization in New England and everything. And I mean, I think the Queen is still on their money.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Are they part of the like Commonwealth? That's
They were, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So it's still very present, but I think it's important to make the distinction between the white experience in New Zealand and the indigenous experience in New Zealand.
Okay.
Because the indigenous people were really able to maintain their culture.
Yeah.
And so we went into an indigenous village, the Maori village, and it was very different. We got to have their honey, that they're amazing, like very special.
Like
New
special
Zealand-
made honey and stuff?
Like I have never seen honey encased in bulletproof glass before until I went to New Zealand. They take their honey seriously.
Wow,
It is
in bulletproof
medical
glass?
grade. It was
Oh,
$90.
wow.
It was, yeah.
For honey?
Your honey.
Oh my
for
goodness.
Medical grade, the best you'll ever have in your life. I tasted
Okay.
it and I agreed.
Nice, okay.
But it was pretty amazing. Yeah, it was. In terms of the difference in culture, I think it's important to recognize that distinction because different parts of New Zealand and different cultures in New Zealand, because I also know there's a huge Asian population there, have different experiences of being a New Zealander.
Yeah.
So.
So we were talking about the best thing about studying abroad. Let's talk about the flip side.
Okay.
What was the most challenging part about being in New Zealand?
Okay, I'm not the most physical person.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and so there's a lot of uphill. And I went to Auckland and Hamilton and different areas of New Zealand, and they all have different terrains.
Yeah.
But for the city life, there was a lot of uphill.
Okay.
And I see some people just walking that like no problem every day. And I'm sitting here huffing and puffing because I'm so used to California Valley.
Yeah, that's true.
And so going straight up was a bit of a work because our hostel was on top of a giant I would consider it a mountain
Yeah.
because I'm California, but for them it was a hill.
Yeah.
So,
How did it compare to San Francisco? Because that's pretty close to us and
Yeah.
very hilly city.
Yes.
About the same, worse?
I would say worse.
Really?
That's just because I was lugging my suitcase around. and
Okay,
so
all right,
it's
that's fair. Yeah,
difficult
you don't lug
trying to-
around a suitcase in San
Yeah.
Francisco typically, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for people who are looking for like a city life, but then still want some hiking in, Auckland, it seems like it's a good place to get a workout in the city.
It's a good walkable city, and
Okay.
the public transit's very good there.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So since you were in New Zealand, you probably weren't in the classroom all that much. You also had the opportunity to kind of explore on your own, I'm assuming. How was that? Is it pretty expensive compared to the San Jose area? Any unique kind of things in Auckland that you would say?
My goodness, unique things. Definitely a lot. You know what's actually really interesting is that my friend, because they have a whole thing with like kiwi, the kiwi bird,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like over kiwis, and she actually wanted to get a tattoo of one. I went to a tattoo parlor, and what I didn't realize at the time was that a lot of tattoo artists in New Zealand are actually Maori, because initially, I'm going to totally butcher this, and it's going to be a very generalized thing, tattoos have meaning, right? They used to tattoo their entire faces. To even call it a tattoo is a bit of a misnaming because they would use different utensils, and it was about their culture. And so you would have women have this tattoo on their chin to symbolize like motherhood.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of tattoo artists were actually Maori because it was a part of their culture, and it has symbolism and respect involved. And so I didn't realize that. And so you walk into our tattoo parlor, and it's really cool. I didn't know that.
What was like a typical day for you like in New Zealand?
So we did partner with a lot of universities, particularly because my professor was a social work professor for the master's degree, and so we went to several social work schools. We would go to these schools, we would have seminars or classes. Very informally though, it was definitely like a professor came in and they're like, I teach this, I'm going to give you a brief seminar and like see if you like it, and then we'd have a discussion about it. And then we'd actually go out like into the field and see this in action, right? And so that was kind of the experiences that the template, if you could, seminar, context, and then actually going out and experiencing it ourselves.
So what advice would you have for anybody who is looking to study abroad for a shorter time like you did, or thinking about studying abroad in New Zealand perhaps, and specifically, what advice would you have for someone who's watching?
Advice. I think before you go anywhere, it's really important to understand context of the location you're going to, and the basic stuff like language, customs, religion, government, that kind of thing. You don't need to be an expert, but just understanding.
Be aware.
Be aware of what you're going into. For us, what we did is we learned about like Maori oppression and the legal ramifications of that, and where they are now. What's the politics of the moment? What's the culture of the time? Because you never want to go into another person's culture and accidentally offend them or do something that's disrespectful. I think all of us just want to be good people.
Yeah.
And so limiting that possibility of offending or causing harm, and also understanding the bigger picture of where you're at helps.
And is there anything else, last words you want to say about New Zealand or your abroad experience?
I would definitely recommend, if you have the opportunity to go to New Zealand, it's amazing. I know I tend to focus on the more educational aspects of it, because like I said before, I'm a fucking nerd. But quick things, New Zealand has absolutely the most beautiful hiking and nature like scenery I've ever seen in my life. So you go into Auckland, and then I was walking around, getting lost as one does, and boom, waterfall. So like a natural waterfall. And so if you're really into nature and you're really into just hikes and scenery and whatnot, this is a place for you. Amazing, absolutely beautiful. Highly recommend it. If not just for the honey, because it was delicious. $90 honey, bulletproof
That's expensive
glass.
honey.
It's worth it though.
Okay, all right.
And so
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to everybody about your experience abroad in New Zealand. And gracias everybody for watching. Hopefully you liked this video and it was helpful for you. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
ciao.